What's up, everybody? Benji Bruce here, or should I say, Billionaire Bruce. Billionaire Bruce is my alter ego that I use to accomplish certain goals because Billionaire Bruce is on a whole new level compared to Benji Bruce. Now, most people, you won't really be able to see the change in my demeanor or anything like that because it's strictly like a mental type of thing. And so I'm going to talk about this alter ego and why you should create one as well. But the alter ego just helps you accomplish what it is you need to accomplish. It's very similar to like Kobe Bryant, the basketball player. He had the alter ego of the Black Mamba. So it's like when he stepped on the court, he turns into that Black Mamba and he's like, I'm going to crush everybody. I'm going to kill everybody. And Jordan's alter ego, I think, is like Black Jesus or something like that. A lot of people have this alter ego in order to accomplish certain things that they want to accomplish, because the alter ego, it allows you to do things that you don't normally do. It allows you to think in ways that you don't normally think. And so that's what I want to talk about in terms of the alter ego. My alter ego, it was inspired by billionaires, obviously, and Howard Roark. Howard Roark is a character from The Fountainhead, from a book called The Fountainhead by Ayn Rand. And so it's like a combination of those two. Really, I study super successful people. I'm talking about billionaires, people like at the Michael Jordan level in terms of athletes, Michael Jordan, Kobe Bryant, those sort of people. And then the character Howard Roark, which I really like. I studied these people and I created my own alter ego, which was inspired a lot by billionaires and how they think and how they operate, that sort of stuff. And so the alter ego just helps you in terms of what it is you need to do, because you're thinking about the self-image. A lot of people, they want to change themselves, but they don't actually change themselves. So they want to change like things around them, but they don't actually change who they are, which is why the change doesn't come about. So what you have to do is you end up creating a new self-image. And this self-image, it basically tells you what you can and can't do. That's why I created this alter ego, Billionaire Bruce. And the Billionaire Bruce character has all sorts of traits that I looked at billionaires in terms of what they have. And I'm trying to instill these traits into me just 24/7, just nonstop, so I can just have a ruthless commitment to my goals. That's what I noticed that billionaires have. It's a ruthless commitment to accomplishing a mission, to accomplishing a vision. And so that's what I wanted to do. And so what you're trying to do when you're actually creating your own alter ego is you're simply creating a new self-image in terms of what it is you think you can and can't do. You're just creating this new self-image. And I remember I did this a long time ago before Billionaire Bruce. I didn't even know what I was doing at the time, but this was when I was trying to get gigs as a speaker. So I'm trying to get gigs as a speaker. And it was working out or whatever. But eventually I said to myself, I said, okay, like, WWJD, what would Jesus do? Well, I turned it into WWTRD. I said, what would Tony Robbins do? And so I thought in terms like, okay, Tony Robbins, he's way up here compared to everybody else with all these speakers. So whenever I would answer emails or whenever I would do the marketing, all that sort of stuff, I would ask like, well, what would Tony Robbins do? Like if someone were to say, hey, can we talk to Benji before we actually hire him? Like, can we talk to him real quick? I think to myself, like, what would Tony Robbins do? Like Tony Robbins, he's at such a high level, like in terms of being in demand, you can't just talk to that guy. You simply can't, not unless you actually put a deposit down. So it's like little things like that I would do with my marketing that just exploded my business. It took me to a whole new level in terms of sounding more in demand, getting more gigs at higher prices, all that sort of stuff, all because I changed my self-image. I didn't know what I was doing at the time in terms of the WWTRD, but it helped me a lot in terms of saying, okay, I'm an in-demand presenter. I'm in demand. What would an in-demand presenter do? How would they think? How would they operate? Like, what would life look like for this in-demand presenter? And so that's what I did, which allowed me to basically get the $10,000, $20,000 gigs. And so eventually I realized, okay, I started studying just all the psychology stuff. I realized self-image in general. I realized, all right, let me create this alter ego, Billionaire Bruce, who's just going to be insanely focused in terms of committing to certain goals. And so that's what I allowed myself to do. Now, the traits of this alter ego, once again, I study billionaires because I'm thinking, all right, billionaires are at the top of the business food chain. So let me study the best if I want to be the best. And notice billionaires, they have an insane level of focus. Like when you hear about people who are focused, people say like, yeah, I'm focusing on this sort of stuff. But billionaires, it's an insane level of focus. It's like this tunnel vision where it doesn't matter what you say, do, or whatever. They're just like, here's what I'm focusing on, and that's it. And that's that. It reminds me of this story that I heard about Richard Branson, where this event wanted to hire Richard Branson to speak. And they said something like, hey, we want to hire Richard Branson to speak. We'll pay him $100,000 to come speak. And then the assistant writes back, I'm sorry, the answer's going to be no. So the event comes back and they say, well, I mean, we really want to hire Richard Branson. I mean, well, we can give him $500,000 to come speak. And so the assistant writes back, I'm sorry, no, it's not going to happen. And the event's like, what the hell, man? Come on. And so the event, they write back, they're like, look, we will give Richard Branson $1 million freaking dollars to come speak at our event. Can he please speak at our event? We want this guy really bad. And the assistant writes back and says, look, Richard Branson is focusing on these three things. If you aren't in one of those three things, the answer will always be no matter how much you actually pay us. And so that's the insane level of focus that you have. It's like when other things are coming in, you're just like, here's what I'm focused on. That's it. And it's this long-term focus. It's not just you focus on something for 60 seconds or 60 minutes, whatever. It's more of you're focusing on it for years, like, or however long it takes you to make the thing happen. You have this insane level of focus. So that's what my alter ego Billionaire Bruce has. It's like this insane level of focus. And then also they're only focused on their business, by the way. So think about this. Like, think about Mark Zuckerberg when he was building Facebook. Do you think Mark Zuckerberg was hanging out at meetups and stuff, trying to chit chat with other entrepreneurs and like, yeah. So what are you really trying to get into with your business? Like, he wasn't doing that. He was sitting down coding Facebook. He's like, all right, let me work on this thing. Same with Bill Gates when he's building Microsoft. I mean, was he going around to all these meetup groups and all that sort of stuff? No, he was focused on his business, building Microsoft. And so it's this insane level of focus that you just have. You're just like, I'm about my business. That's it. And so that's what the Billionaire Bruce has. That's one of the traits. The other trait that I looked at with billionaires is a sense of urgency. It's kind of like, look, I have to get this thing done. Like when Jeff Bezos was starting Amazon, he's like, look, there's this thing called the internet that's coming out. I mean, we really got to get on this thing. Like, I mean, we got to be one of the first to actually do this thing. And so he just built the Amazon because he had this sense of urgency. It's like this go, go, go type of attitude, this go, go, go type of feeling. And so the sense of urgency comes from it's like you're on a vision, you're on a mission because of your vision, and you don't allow people to waste your time. And so a lot of people they just tend to take up your time. You need to understand that no one has the right to your time. Sure, it's nice to let people take up your time, but no one has the right to your time. If someone sends you a Facebook message or an Instagram message or whatever, a text or whatever, and say, hey, let's go hang out, they don't have the right to your time in any type of way. You can easily just ignore it. You can say no, whatever it is you want to do, but they do not have the right to your time. Of course, people are going to get pissed off if you say no or ignore them. Of course, that's what's going to happen, but you are on a mission to accomplish this thing. You're like, look, I have to make this thing happen. And so I'm not going to sit here and chit chat, hang out all day. I got to make this thing happen. So it's a sense of urgency, and people do not have the right to your time anymore. So that's what Billionaire Bruce is really focused on in terms of like, you simply do not have the right to my time. And then on top of that, I noticed that billionaires, they're big thinkers. I mean, they're freaking big thinkers. A lot of people think they think big until, like, if you're around a billionaire and you see how billionaires think, you're like, damn, I wasn't even close to thinking big. So billionaires are big thinkers. Then on top of that, they're independent thinkers. This is like the biggest trait that I've seen with billionaires. They're very independent thinkers. You need to understand that most of your thoughts are status quo thoughts. Most of your thinking is just status quo type of thinking. And so you can easily see this with your status quo type of thinking when someone asks for your opinion about certain subjects like money or whatever. People say, oh, it's not about money. So like you can see status quo thinking based on, all right, do most people believe this about this subject? If the answer is yes, which most of your thoughts are, then you're thinking, you're not an independent thinker. You're simply thinking the status quo thoughts. Most of your thoughts are very similar to other people's thoughts. Sure, there may be like a little variation, but most of your thinking is status quo type of thinking. On the other hand, billionaires have a very independent type of thought process. It's like Peter Thiel, how he says, look, monopolies are good. Like, monopolies are great. And so like most people, they think, what, monopolies? Like, well, if they're great, how come the government breaks them up? And so it's like billionaires have this level of think that other people don't have. That is why they're billionaires. And that level of think allows them to see opportunities that other people can't see. And so you need to have this independent thinking. That's what the Billionaire Bruce is like. Okay, independent thinking. Here's what other people think. Here's what status quo thinking is like. Here's what people think about this subject. Now, what do I think about this subject? And so that's kind of what's going on with the Billionaire Bruce in terms of that sort of stuff. And also, the other thing is Billionaire Bruce doesn't explain himself to people. So it's one of those things where it's like, I'm not going to explain in terms of why I'm not going to hang out, not going to explain in terms of why I'm doing this, why I'm doing that. It's kind of just like, I'm going to be doing this and you can think whatever you need to think. And so Billionaire Bruce, and if you look at all billionaires, they simply don't explain what they're doing. They don't explain what they're doing to people who don't need to know. And most people don't need to know. And so I've noticed this with like Jay-Z, all these people in terms of like, they don't really explain what they're doing. They just do what they do and then that's it. So Billionaire Bruce has all these kinds of traits that I allowed Billionaire Bruce to have that I modeled after like Howard Roark and all these billionaires and stuff. And it allows me to do certain things that I normally wouldn't do. And so the reason why I decided to use it now in terms of like an extended period of time is because I noticed myself doing certain things. Like I would check social media more than I should be checking it. I'd be on social media and I would like check someone's Instagram story. And even though I'm just like, all right, like it's about food or whatever it is they're doing, it wasn't connected to what my mission is. It wasn't connected to any of my goals in any way. It's not that I have anything against friends or anything that's on social media. It's just a matter of, it's like, okay, I'm trying to accomplish this thing. And every second that I spend not doing this thing is a second I just wasted. Even something as simple as going on social media, looking at a story and just saying, okay, cool. Oh, that was cool. Oh, look at that. Snowboarding or whatever. Even if it's cool or whatever, I notice myself doing things like that. And I'm just like, what's the point of this stuff? And so there were little things that I was doing. Like I would just hang out just to be sociable. I mean, I said to myself last year, I was like, you know what, maybe I should start being more sociable. Yeah, when people invite me out, I'm just gonna be like, all right, sure, why not? But I realized like when I was around a lot of people, I would just get bored. I'm just like, I get bored when people start talking about things that aren't creating. It's like I want to be around people who are creating things, people who are doing things instead of talking about things. I don't care if you're talking about politics. I don't care if you're talking about gossip. Oh, if you're talking about gossip, I'm definitely not hanging around your ass. But it's one of those things where you don't even have to be doing anything wrong. It's just a matter of I'm simply not interested in talking about things where we aren't creating something. I want to create the world around me instead of live in the world around me. And so a lot of people, they're living in the world around them. I simply don't want to just live. I want to create the world around me. And so it's like little things in terms like I would just hang out just to be sociable. And in reality, like in the back of my mind, I'm bored out of my mind. I'm like, I don't care about what you guys are talking about with sports. I honestly don't care. Like I'm sitting here thinking the whole time, like, all right, how can I create a story out of this to use it as content? And that's literally what I'm thinking about. And so it's one of those things where I just noticed myself doing that in terms like I don't really like doing that. I'm not the sociable type of person, that sort of stuff. And so I noticed that, I was just like reacting to the world instead of creating it. So that was one of the things. And then I asked myself, like, what do I really want my life to look like? I simply asked myself, like, what type of people do I really want to be around? What do I want things to look like? And that sort of stuff. And then I realized, like, hey, there's a lot that I want to change, and I'm not going to change everything by doing what it is I'm constantly doing in terms of like the people I'm around, the people I'm talking with, that sort of stuff. I'm not going to actually change by doing what it is I'm constantly doing. So that's why I'm like, all right, I'm letting Billionaire Bruce take over. Here's the mission, Billionaire Bruce. Go after it. Bam. It's like sending a pit bull after a mission. I'm just like, here's what you need to get done. Do that thing. And then that's it. And so I realized like, I help a lot of people with marketing. And the reason why I did that is because I remember back in the day when I was trying to market myself as an entertainer, and I couldn't really find any good information on how to do it. I couldn't find any good information on how to get myself gigs or anything like that. The information that people would provide, it was basic information, like just have a good show. And then if you have a good show, people are going to refer you and that sort of stuff. And then on top of that, a lot of the people who were providing information, I couldn't trust them because I was wondering, like, are they actually giving good information, or are they just trying to sell me stuff? And so it's like you couldn't really trust what they were saying, like, and so it was things like that. And I know what it feels like to want to do something very badly, but to not know how to do it. And so it's one of the reasons why I just studied the crap out of marketing. I'm teaching people marketing right now. I'm like, look, I honestly feel like if a lot of people don't know marketing, then their dream is they're going to turn 80 or however old they're going to turn, but they're going to get older and they're going to realize that their dream is gone. Like they're going to realize, like, hey, because they couldn't get the word out about what they do, they couldn't make any money. And because they couldn't make any money, I mean, they got all these problems going on. And so it feels really bad when you have a dream, but you don't know how to accomplish that dream, and you feel like nobody's there to help you accomplish that dream. And so I understood what that felt like. And so I'm thinking to myself, okay, I've got this mission in terms of like helping people with their marketing, that sort of stuff. I don't really talk about it too much because I'm like, I'm just like, it's more personal, but that's essentially what I'm focusing on. So I'm just like, well, forget all this other stuff. Here's what I want to actually do. And so that's what essentially why I let Billionaire Bruce take over. And then when you allow your alter ego to take over, when you're actually going to change, what's going to happen is there's going to be resistance to your change. And I'm talking about resistance from other people, and they don't know they're doing it. That's the thing. It's not like people are saying like, no, you don't want to grow your business, or like, it's not like people are going to say that. Instead, they say little things that it's really just a projection of who they are. So it's like people's change, or people's reaction to your change is really just a projection of their self-belief. And so it's like when I tell people that, I'm going to grow the business more and all that sort of stuff. And then they say things like, money doesn't bring you happiness and stuff like that. Or they're like, oh, you shouldn't like work all the time. I mean, do what makes you happy. I'm like, you don't get it. This does make me happy. Like, you don't understand when I am not happy going out socializing with 20 people that I don't know, that I don't really talk to. I'm not happy doing any of that sort of stuff. I'm not happy doing what most people do. I don't go out and drink. I don't go out and smoke. I'm not happy doing any of that stuff. I'm happy when I actually sit down, I'm thinking through content that I'm creating. I'm sitting here like, okay, I am literally creating the world around me. That is where I'm happy. So I'm not happy doing all this other stuff. So when people say things like, oh, you shouldn't work all the time, oh, it's not about the money, I understand that they are projecting, which is why I completely ignore everything they just told me. I think in my head, I say, no. That doesn't bring you happiness. That's not what you want to do. Stop telling me what I want to do. Everybody has an opinion of your life. You need to start getting one of your own. You need to stop letting people tell you what your life should be like, what you should like in life, whether it is, oh, you shouldn't focus on work all the time. You shouldn't focus on making money all the time. Listen, if you like making money, if you like working, then that is what you do. If you like hanging out with people, socializing, that is what you do. You do what it is you want to do instead of allowing people to tell you what it is you need to be doing with your life. And so that is why I said, okay, here's what I'm going to do. I understood the whole resistance to change. I understood that people were going to do that. And I said, forget it. Billionaire Bruce does not care. Billionaire Bruce has a ruthless commitment to accomplishing a goal. That is it. You can say whatever you want. You can do whatever you want, because here's what I'm doing. Here's what I'm thinking. Here's what I'm focusing on 99.9% of the time. And so that's how it is. And I think what happened was a lot of people thought maybe I'm going to be mean to people or something. I'm never mean to anybody. In fact, I'm the exact opposite. I'm pretty kind to people. It's not that I'm mean to people. It's just that I'm not allowing anyone to take up any of my time. It's that simple. It's just like, here's what I'm going to do. And if you're not within this, we're not going to really be hanging out. If you think that's mean, think it all you want. I simply think that's you focusing on a goal. That's all it is. And so that's what I notice billionaires do. It's just, here's what I'm focusing on. I'm not interested in this stuff. If you are, great, but I'm not. I'm focusing on this. And that's what's going to happen. And so there's a lot of people that I can help. And I'm not going to do that by hanging out, by socializing, by looking on social media all the time. I'm not going to be doing all that by responding to people's messages and calls all the time. I'm not going to actually help people by sitting down and just reacting to the world around me. I'm literally going to create the world around me. And so my alter ego has a ruthless commitment to accomplishing a goal. That is it. And so it's just a matter of like, here's what I want to accomplish. And if you're not within this area of what I want to accomplish, you're going to be on the outside looking in. It's really that simple. I've got nothing against you. It's just a matter of here's what I want to make happen. And that's what I'm going to make happen. And so that's the alter ego. The alter ego, it allows you to do things and think in a certain way that allows you to make things happen. I really, really recommend that you create an alter ego. Obviously, you don't want to create an alter ego where you're just an a-hole to people, but your alter ego may come across as being an a-hole. Like when you don't give people your time, they will naturally think that you're being mean. There's nothing mean about saying, I'm doing this, I'm not going to do that. There's nothing mean about it. It's just a matter of, here's what I'm spending my time on. It's a ruthless commitment to accomplishing a goal. That is why I'm allowing Billionaire Bruce to take over.